Hello and welcome back to another session of Therapy and Panels. After everything that's happened the past few months, I thought we would do a little cool down, do some small, simple, and a little bit experimental. I had the thought the other day when going over what to do next. Who says that we only have to do comic books that were made by big-time companies? I am a big believer in creativity, and that there are a ton of people out there who I'm sure would love to get into the comic book business. Heck, I'm trying to work on one right now. I'm not comfortable enough to put out the full process out yet. And then I had the realization that there are people out there who put out things for whether it be for a fan page or their very own creative thing, and they make them out of webcomics. So today I thought we would try out something created by through a webcomic. I went through so many that to look through this, it took me a while to find out what sounded good, until I found a unique one that is a big love letter to two big franchises many of us grew up on as a kid, Danny Phantom and Ben 10, created by a guy named Kuro the Artist. Kuro the Artist, or Robert Orpiglia, I'm sorry if that's not how you pronounce your last name, is an artist who can do a lot of stuff impressively, from illustration and animation. In 2015, he used to draw requests from people on Facebook for publicity, one being a drawing of Danny Phantom and Ben 10 fighting each other. This concept fascinated him enough to where he began developing a crossover comic that eventually came into this book that we're looking at today, called 5 Years Later. I'm going to try and make this as short as possible for people who were unaware of what Danny Phantom and Ben 10 are. Ben 10 was a show on Cartoon Network about a 10-year-old boy named Ben Tennyson who discovers a mysterious alien device called the Omnitrix. It allowed him to transform into a variety of powerful alien heroes with unique abilities. He traveled across the country with his cousin Gwen and his grandpa Max, and he used his powers to fight off evil aliens, villains, and save the world while dealing with the challenges of being a kid. The original show lasted 5 seasons, and then it included spin-offs including Ben 10 Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and Omniverse. It was originally created by a group known as Man of Action. Danny Phantom was a cartoon on Nickelodeon created by Butch Hartman about a teenage boy named Danny Fenton who gains ghost powers after an accident that involved his parents' ghost portal. Now able to turn into his superhero alter ego, Danny Phantom, he protects his hometown of Amity Park from ghosts and other supernatural threats, while also trying to balance school, friendships, and family life. It lasted for 3 seasons and ended with a special where he saved the world from a world-ending asteroid, and his identity was revealed to the world, becoming a worldwide hero for everyone on the planet. So, with that underway, let's take a look at the fan comic 5 years later. Even though this is a webcomic, they do have covers for each issue, so I will look at it, and it is pretty well made. I really love the lighting coming from the ghost portal here, and Danny just looking like he's being drawn into it in some way or form. We open with a brief description of life with Danny Phantom, aka Danny Phantom, explaining it's been 5 years since the events of the disasteroid, and since then his identity has been revealed to the world, and all law enforcement around the world is now armed with Fenton tech to protect humanity from supernatural laws. Looks like the Ghostbusters have some competition now. With this in hand now, Danny has retired from hero work and decided to help out his dad, Jack Fenton, on his newest passion project, cross-dimensional travel. Because he clearly hasn't learned his lesson about opening portals to a whole different universe or dimension, it seems, by now.
After many failed attempts to upgrade the ghost portal, Jack simply just quit, but Danny took a look inside of it. Except this time, instead of getting more superpowers, he actually succeeds in opening the portal.
Which is kind of weird to me, since I was more of a Danny Phantom fan growing up, and then I was Ben 10. I had access to Nickelodeon more than Cartoon Network. And last I recall, Danny was a C average student, so it's kind of mind-blowing, even still after 5 years, for him to have enough knowledge and know-how to be able to do something like this. I don't know, that's just me.
Naturally, instead of letting his dad or anybody know about this, he hops into the Spectre Speeder and ends up in a location known as the Null Void.
Again, like I said earlier, I knew more about Danny Phantom than Ben 10, so going off of the best I could look research-wise, this is the equivalent of the Phantom Zone for DC Comics.
Danny runs out of power and parks at an abandoned plumber base, probably wishing he brought gas for this interdimensional road trip. And this is where we are introduced to Ben Tennyson and his partner Rook Blanco, who arrived to check the area after Danny accidentally triggered a silent alarm. Ben immediately activates his Omnitrix, becoming the alien Swampfire, and attacks Danny, who in turn decides to go ghost.
Because asking questions is overrated when you can just throw hands.
Basically, a full-on fight breaks out across the Null Void, featuring classic aliens from the show, and some explosions. Before things escalate any further, an alien creature known as a Tokustar shows up, causing havoc in the area, and realizing that they have been overreacting and the giant alien as well, the two team up and take down the Tokustar. Afterward, Ben agrees to take Danny back to Plumber Base to figure out where he came from and how to take him back home. And that's when we end the issue back in Danny's home dimension, where it seems that after 5 long years, Danny's archenemy Vlad Plasmius has finally returned to Earth.
So that was the first chapter of the fan comic 5 years later, and from my diagnosis, it's a decent beginning.
It has a decent premise of how these worlds come together, but like I mentioned before, it is odd to me how a kid like Danny became smart enough to be able to perfect interdimensional travel when he was super bad at math. And I wish we had a bit more time to explain the world of Ben 10 and just who he is, because I'll admit I didn't grow up on Ben 10 like I did with Danny Phantom. But that's just my personal nitpicks. I personally recommend, if you can, go look up Inktank and Kuro the artist and take this series a read.
And with that, that is the end of today's session. Thank you all for attending. As always, if you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you like the idea of this fan comic thing, we'll do more. Let me know in the comments below. Until then, I am the Super Guru, signing off.